Hello, I'm Leslie Johnson, Animal Manure Management Coordinator for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
And I'm Ben Beckman, Nebraska Extension Beef Systems Educator.
In this video, we're going to highlight the vast opportunities that there are in the field of animal science. We've gathered together a number of people and interviewed them to help you decide whether or not you are interested in having an animal science career. But not only that, we wanted to tell you what classes might be good to take while you're still in high school and even into college, and maybe other activities that you want to participate in. Please note that while we've tried to give you a wide variety of careers to look at, this is not an all-inclusive list. Other careers that might be animal science related include game wardens, marine biologists, and others.
Both Leslie and I, as part of our jobs with Extension, provide support and educational outreach to producers in Northeast Nebraska and statewide. We work with all sorts of livestock producers, but mostly focus, at least in my job, a lot of times with beef producers. With Leslie's position doing manure management, she gets to work with a wider variety of different livestock producers on that side of things. Part of our job requires some educational experience. For an education, or for an extension educator specifically, there is a requirement to have a master's degree in order to even apply for that position. So at the high school side, having a good basics in science and mathematics is really important because a lot of master's work boils down to stats interpretation, understanding research studies, and a lot of math is involved from that side of things. Because we're working with natural systems, anytimes that you can take an ag class, things like that, where you're getting experience either from the natural sciences side or from the direct agricultural side, is also really beneficial. And then finally, I'd also throw in there English classes are really important too. A lot of our job is to provide educational experiences, whether that's standing up teaching in person, doing videos such as this, or writing newsletter articles, newspaper articles, things like that. And so being really effective in communicating and being able to write effectively is a really crucial skill that you can build in your high school career and can really carry you through into about anything that you're going to do in relating to animal production. When it comes to other experiences that you might look into that will help you out in this career field, being involved again in kind of your 4-H FFA programs are going to be really beneficial. They'll provide kind of that leadership background. A lot of our job is really self-starter. We've got a boss, but they're not on site with us. Most of the time we're kind of left alone to develop our programming and to figure out what educational resources and to meet the needs of the area around us. So having that leadership skill is really beneficial, and just having that background in agriculture that comes from those programs is really great to have as well. Any other advice that I'd have for high school students that are interested in kind of this educational side of animals is don't forget to again, what I kind of mentioned with the English side, don't forget about communication as part of your career. The science part is extremely important, the math part is extremely important, and those are the building blocks. But if you can't effectively communicate what we're trying to do, especially when we're providing education to other people, if we're not getting the point across, if we're not sharing clearly what we want to do, then all of that understanding and stuff is for nothing. You might have a teacher already, or as you go along in your career, have either a teacher or a mentor or somebody that's a really smart individual, but maybe doesn't do a great job of sharing that wisdom. They just can't bridge that gap between what's going on in their head and then get it to a point that other people can understand it. And so if you're interested in a job in education, or especially a job in extension, our role is really to bridge that gap between what the research is saying and what producers are doing. And so being a good communicator and an effective communicator is really important.
Marty Stewart. I'm a livestock farmer in Northeast Nebraska. I also work as a field man for West Point Livestock, soliciting cattle farmers and ranchers to market their livestock through the West Point sale barn, and I order buy cattle for people. I took vocational agriculture and FFA in high school, also was active in 4-H program. I was lucky enough to grow up on a diversified livestock operation, basically dairy, but we also had beef cattle, sheep, hogs. My dad had an interest in all kinds of livestock, and he allowed us to pursue. Each of us owned some of our own livestock in high school. And then also I attended Western Iowa Tech and took a 1-year course in livestock marketing and management. I guess that's something I would highly suggest for anyone thinking about getting into the livestock business. There's tremendous opportunity today in production ag for a couple of reasons. Very few kids grow up with any background in livestock industry today. Less than 2% of our farmers are in agriculture in the United States, and of those, probably less than 1% actually have livestock production on their operations. So having any background growing up is getting less and less. We're like 2 and 3 generations removed from production agriculture. Basically, take some business classes. I would highly recommend that. Anything they can do to enhance their people skills, vocational agriculture classes, their FFA, their 4-H programs. The other thing I guess I would suggest, get out and do some clinicals. Work for a farmer, work for a sale barn, work for your local veterinarian. All those people are looking for people to help them, and find out if this is something you truly want to do and get as much hands-on experience as you can get. It's got to be something that you have an interest in or love. I guess I've always felt like I'd never really worked because I've been lucky enough to work with livestock my whole life, and that's what I wanted to do from as long as I can remember growing up. I managed a sow unit for almost 37 years, and been working for the sale barn for 10 years, and I've had sheep, cattle, and hogs all of my life. So I guess if you like it, pursue it. There's opportunity available no matter what the species is, and a lot of farming is going to large operations that are going to need managers. Another thing I would recommend, if your school has foreign language classes, especially with the Hispanic population that we have, picking up that second language. If you're thinking about going into management, that way, if you're bilingual, you're going to have a lot more opportunities because there are a lot of Hispanic workers that are interested in the livestock industry, and we have a lot more diverse cultures in the livestock industry today than we had 20 and 40 years ago. So I would highly recommend taking a Spanish class if you have it available. But most of all, I would get out and do some internships, or on-hand experience is going to be the biggest thing to help you down the road.
Dawn Jacobson. I'm a pet stylist in Wayne, Nebraska. I've been a pet stylist for over 35 years. Back then, I didn't even need to have a high school diploma, but that was a long time ago. You do now. I would say agriculture, working with cattle, livestock. As a kid, I grew up on a beef ranch, and we showed cattle. I would say anything with animals orientated, any kind of, just to get used to them. If you're going to own your own business, bookkeeping, accounting, stuff like that's handy. No, you kind of really like animals to do this. And you have to be able to not be afraid of, you're going to get bit, you're going to get peed and pooped on. You're not playing with puppies all day. It's a job. And it's hard work because you stand all day long.
My name is Chris McGuire. I am a herdsman here at Seavers Farms. My main position is taking care of the artificial insemination on the cows, on the heifers, amongst herd health and general management of the farm. I grew up on a farm with cows, and then when I went to college, I went ahead and got a degree in animal science. In high school, I always liked the math and science classes. It probably kind of pushed me towards that direction. When I was 16, my grandpa took me to an AI school, which was like a 3-day school where we learned how to do the AI, and went back and AI'd his cows while I was still in high school. And then I did an internship with an AI stud when I was in college for a couple summers. And that's where I probably really gained the most experience in the AI business anyways. So, yes, I've been AIing cows for a lot of years. For sure your ag classes, if you have that kind of curriculum, but even your biologies and Any kind of science class really helps you out. Oh, definitely 4-H, FFA, those programs give you all kinds of knowledge and information and experience. If you're able to get out and get experience on farm, that's where you're going to benefit the most, I think. So.
My name is Sarah Celine. I'm an agriculture instructor here at Northeast Community College in Norfolk, Nebraska. I teach courses in agronomy, in natural resources, and I dabble a little bit in the animal science department. What that means is I do teach some of the feedlot management courses and making sure we're utilizing agronomic principles within some of the manure aspects of the coursework. I've been at this job for 3 years now. Before this, I was a resource conservationist for the Natural Resource Conservation Service throughout Nebraska. For my education in this job, I was required to get a master's, and my undergrad and my grad work are both in agronomy. For those that are looking into going into agriculture education, whether it's at secondary or post-secondary level, I would recommend taking courses in curriculum building, in team building, in mitigation, in those kind of realms, because it does help quite a bit with learning how students learn and how they can utilize their fullest potential. For the classes that I took in high school and in college, many of them stand out. Many of them are very helpful. Things like accounting, things like personal finance management. Any class that you can take within the agriculture or FFA or 4-H realm is wonderful. The best thing that I did in high school and in college was make sure that I was active. I was always being a part of sports or outside activities or block and bridle. Those types of activities help to teach you time management, and time management is crucial in no matter what type of career you decide to do in life. Learning how to balance everything and how to fit everything and prioritize is a huge life skill that you can start building now while you're in high school. I would say get active, join the FFA, join the yearbook class, join all of those different activities that you might find interesting, because you're networking. You're learning where you're able to count on people, you're able to start networking with people that can help you or help your courses or your classes in the future. Making sure that you be a part of your community.
My name is Scott Sievers. I own and operate a dairy heifer development feedlot in northeast Nebraska, just outside of Wayne. We've been doing this for Plymouth Dairy, which is located over by Lamar's, Iowa, for about 10 years now. We started in 2010, and we're almost done with our expansion to hold about 3,000 head to keep up with the Plymouth Dairy's expansion, where they built a second dairy in Iowa, and we are their main, I should say their only developer. All their heifers come here and then return back to the dairy to go into milk production. And that's what we pretty much do every day. We feed and breed and raise Holstein heifers. Well, there's a lot of different things that will definitely help being a business owner slash feedlot owner in agribusiness. You definitely need to have some education in finance. One of the biggest things right now is being able to run cash flows and balance sheets and inventories, and the financial side of agribusiness or owning and operating a feedlot is the financing side. A lot of money in and out. Interest rates are a big deal. If you can stay out of the interest side of it and just operate on income and expenses, it makes a big difference in your operation. Another thing is everything's done with computer, and electronics is a big deal. We use feed software for all of our feed programming. That's all run through computers then for billing and inventory. So there's a lot of electronics, software, computers, iPads and tablets, technology has come a long ways from pen and paper back in the day. The other side would be, you know, any agribusiness classes, general business classes. You've got to be able to understand how things operate as far as your operation and buying and selling equipment, maintenance, that type of stuff. Along that lines is like diesel repair or any repair classes or instruction or experience. Things break down every day, whether it's a broken gate that needs welded or a tractor breaks down and you need to repair that to be able to feed cattle the rest of the day just to get through the day. A lot of different things. I would say experience goes a long ways, and any agribusiness related classes will definitely help. Well, definitely now that FFA has become bigger and bigger, they've come up with several classes, anywhere from animal science classes. I believe they might have a couple of business classes as well. But the FFA chapters have really helped a bunch in Northeast Nebraska as far as getting kids access to just ag-related classes and topics, just to get their foot in the door and to get their eyes opened up to what is available. When I was in high school, there were no ag classes whatsoever. It wasn't even offered. So I was a little bit behind in my experience as far as education. Not only did I not know I was going to end up being a feedlot and farmer, but there wasn't the opportunities that there are now. And I encourage kids to take any and all ag classes they can, either through FFA or otherwise, to just get your foot in the door and get some experience. See what's out there in the agribusiness field. It's a much broader field than kids or even adults sometimes realize that aren't out here every day in the country. A lot of opportunities for young kids right now. My advice for any and all high school students, including my own, is to put yourself out there and go do any experience you can, whether it's through FFA, through classes that maybe you wouldn't normally take, through a job maybe you wouldn't normally take. Even if that's not necessarily ag-related, you never know what your experiences are going to help you with down the road. The worst thing you can do is just sit at home and not do anything. You need to get out there, put yourself out in maybe some situations where you normally wouldn't be comfortable. It's going to help you as you get older and as you look for a career. I didn't really have a real specific career path when I went to college for engineering. That's just something that I thought seemed really interesting to me, and it has helped me now that I'm running a feedlot and a farm. That engineering stuff has helped me develop some different things that we use here on the farm every day, and that's not necessarily something you would think about when you're going to college to be a farmer, but the experiences is what helps you the most, whether you're going to college, a four-year college or a tech school, or whether you're just going to work at a job to get some experience. All those experiences and those opportunities will help you down the road.
My name is Mark Googles, and I'm a dairy farmer. Full time, I've been doing this 11 years, but I grew up with a family dairy, and I grew up on it, so I was doing chores probably in elementary, and started milking when I was probably in junior high or high school. Biggest thing with me is for the experience, like in college and stuff like that, I didn't do anything really egg related, but I just did a bunch of experiences and talking to a bunch of people and kind of learning. So in high school, I did a FFA, and there I did dairy judging. So that's where I kind of learned what to look for in a cow and what cow is better than this cow and stuff like that. And probably one I wish I would have been more involved with growing up would be 4-H. I think 4-H was a good program to learn how to show a cow, and then just learn a whole bunch of different things about raising calves. I did take a business class where you kind of learn about the financials of it. You kind of learn how to record bookkeeping, like I did an accounting class. And it's nice knowing it's not just about doing work. You got to have the financial part of it too. You need to know numbers. You need to know how much money you can spend, how much you have to save, how much, just budgeting. Yeah, one advice I'd probably say would be really interested in doing it. I would try to gain as much experience as possible. Try and get to know as much as you can about the field of dairy. If you want to give more classes, or maybe during the summer, if you want to go out and buy a local dairy farm around and just see if they have a job for you, and you can just kind of work with calves, work with cows, and you can see if that's something that you're kind of interested in doing, or maybe not. There's a lot of long hours. It's not just 8 to 5 job. It's one of those where it is. If there's a cow having a calf, you got to be around for that. Or if there's a cow that's sick, you got to help it out. You can't leave whenever you feel like you got to work until the job's done. And you really don't know that until you get the experience.
And I'm involved with environmental mitigation for mostly cattle. So deal with heat and cold stress. In the summer, again, as heat waves come through, well, then you have to deal with the adverse effects of the heat on particularly animals that are reared outside. So things like helping them design shades or sprinkler systems, or just general management of livestock that are dealing with adverse climatic conditions. The same thing on cold stress, only the opposite end of the spectrum. I do have a PhD. To do what I do, for the most part, wouldn't require that level of education. Actually, there's a lot that you could do with a bachelor's degree. Probably a master's degree would be the best route to go for what I do and the things I have to work with as far as understanding heat transfer and cold stress and heat stress in livestock. Math and science came easy to me, so that wasn't an issue. I probably have a bigger problem with communication skills, and so I didn't take speech in high school. I should have. I should have been more involved with speech in 4-H or with my youth programs, so I could be a better public speaker and be better at just communicating. And again, with math and science skills, sometimes, excuse me, you're not the best communicator, and so those are the things. Particularly in this day and age, we use the computer a lot, but you still have to interact with people. And so those communication skills are extremely important in my business. Well, again, the things I talked about, anything you can do to help you be better at working with people. Clearly, understanding the science is an important part of what I do. You can't be a good consultant if you don't know the background or have enough information on the topic that you're trying to deal with. And so science is important, and then the communication skills obviously are absolutely necessary.
As you have seen in this video, there are many careers available in animal science. Chances are, if you enjoy working with animals, you'll be able to find some kind of a career in animal science. Remember, those that we've shown here is not an all-inclusive list. There are many, many careers in animal science. Reach out to people you know in the industry and ask them about their jobs. Maybe even job shadow them. As you saw in the video, the number one piece of advice was to gain some experience working with animals. So go out, talk to the industry, learn about the animals, and you'll do great in your animal science career.